This is the Lifestyle Business Owner Show, where we talk about the street smarts of small business. Your hosts are Aaron and Mayumi Muller, owners of 8 companies that run without them, and founders of the LBO Academy. It's your turn to discover how you can own a business that runs without you. Now, here's Aaron and Mayumi.
Good afternoon, everyone. You're listening to Aaron Muller with a Lifestyle Business Owner Show, where we talk about the street smarts of small business. If you can't listen to this entire show, you can always go to our lboradio.com website and get this show and any other previous show that we've recorded to check it all out. Our guest today is Lewis Howard. He brings 2 decades of housing experience in all disciplines of residential construction, development, finance, marketing, and sales. He's known as the billion-dollar mind by his peers and partners. Lewis Howard also has closed over $1.2 billion in real estate deals in the past 10 years. He also hosts a weekly radio show called, you guessed it, Lewis Howard Live. He is a best-selling author of the book From Here to There and Inside the Mind of Champions. Also, we have my co-host, Mayumi Muller. She's not only my business partner, but also my partner in life. She's an amazing woman, a true hustler. And if I didn't have her by my side, I'd never have the success I do. Mayumi, say hi to everyone.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I thank you for those kind words.
You bet.
You know, I am excited to have Lewis on the show.
This guy's
Lewis,
the man,
thank
man.
you
He's
so
the man,
much
the
for
VIP.
coming, visiting us, spending some time with us. Lewis is a busy, busy man, but I've known this man for over 15 years, and he is like a big brother to me. So it's always nice to see family. Welcome.
It is very good to be here. I feel like a VIP.
You are VIP.
You are VIP.
This is really cool.
Good.
Yeah, so.
We're excited. Okay,
Yes,
so
go ahead.
No, you
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, okay. Well, we want to talk a little bit about just your background,
Sure.
Lewis, so people know kind of what you've gone through. And, in the last so many years, you're a big-time developer. You've been in the development industry of real estate, and kind of share with everybody your background and stuff.
Yeah, the fortunate part is that I've been able to go through all the disciplines, as the bio said. I started in the rental business, leasing apartments for a developer, and worked just doing on-site sales, commercial, every part of real estate. I always said that when you are nobody and you work the hardest because you're in the background
That's
and you
true.
don't have
That
the
is
big
so
name.
true.
And so, for the first 10 years of the business, I really spent my life in obscurity just working and just learning all the different aspects of working with buyers and working with sellers and doing projects. So it's really been a progression over 20 plus years. And, the epitome for career-wise is being able to be an executive for a large home building company and do that for 10 years.
Yeah.
So, I'm dating myself. It's getting older and older, man. So,
Well, he don't look old. He looks fantastic.
but
Yeah,
it's been a joy to really serve and really be a part of just a fast-changing industry. When I look at it today, after almost 3 decades of doing this, it's like you don't even recognize the business, the housing market
So
today.
different, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, really. I mean, you think about like the crash from 2008, 9, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then where it's at right now, it's ridiculous. It's like none of that ever happened.
It
Yeah.
didn't even exist. And
Yeah.
you look at all the new records that were shattering
Yep.
at housing prices and buyers.
I
and,
mean,
you
even
know.
when the market was good back in the day,
Sure.
Lewis was at the real estate firm that I worked at, and he was my mentor, and he trained me, and we made a lot of money.
Sure,
I made you
yeah.
a lot of money, didn't I?
Yeah, and we thought we were on top of the world.
I know.
We were like, this is never going to end, but this is a different animal right now.
It really
it's different.
is. It really is.
But you can't be thinking that it's never going to end again, right? I mean, you got to
Oh,
have.
no, we're prepared now, huh?
I mean, but is it going to end to the extent that it did? Probably not, right? I mean, we're going to have some hiccups, I'm
You
sure.
know, Aaron, that's the question I get asked a lot is when is it going to end and when is it going to come and
Yep.
when is the end? And, some of the brightest minds in the business that do this, a lot smarter than that. Nobody can figure it out.
Right.
You start trying to
You need a
time the
crystal ball.
market and pull things in. You're going to miss it. You got to ride it while it's good.
Yeah.
Be smart.
Yes.
If you don't spend all your money, you won't have to worry about the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's like
No, that's
dating,
true.
right?
That's a
You
great way
can't
of
live
looking
in
at it.
fear. It's like dating. You can't base your past
Yeah.
But I
failed
think-
relationships on your future success of
So
the
true.
relationship. Same with business. you
But
know?
and this is where it's different, I think, for us, right? I mean, I know like during that crash that we had back in 09 over here in the Seattle market is when we all really felt it, right?
Sure.
Happened later.
And it was like none of us had ever experienced that. Even the bubble, like
No.
the stock market crash was one thing in like what 2000 or something, 2001.
Right.
But that was not the same thing. We never had seen any kind of housing crash to that
No.
extent that we all just, we all get hit hard, like, I mean,
did.
every single one of every business owner out there I knew, every real estate person, everything. So I think the difference is we have it in the back of our heads that something might happen. Like you said, don't spend all your money
Yep.
now. But just be prepared and know that you might lose here and there, but you got to keep going riding the wave
You gotta
until
ride the
something
wave.
happens
Yep.
because and then start looking at the signs and start really looking at those signs. I mean,
Right.
I was in the prediction of, in 2017 it'll be done,
Right.
and
Right.
that's not
It's
even
still-
that's stupid.
It's still doing well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say what I've seen is, and what I would advise your listeners not to do is, number one, don't use your house as an ATM.
Yeah, that's great
That
advice.
is good advice.
That's how people got in trouble. And
Yep.
two, if you're a small business owner, don't over leverage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Work on margins that you can live with no matter what the market's doing. Those are the two things I saw that people suffered the most
Yeah.
by.
And I would agree with a lot of that, but I also think that if you take your money out of your house sometimes and get into a business, now you're diversifying that
Absolutely.
investment. So it's not like you're just taking that money out to remodel your kitchen or
Or going on vacation. That's
I mean,
not what you're talking about. Don't do that.
I don't think
Right.
it's a
Yeah.
bad idea to sometimes even just take some of that money out of the equity of the house, go get yourself a business that cash flows, because your house is not cash flow. Your house
Right.
is just
No.
an asset that you own for several years, unless you're got a bunch of rentals.
Yeah, and that's for the student, buyers out there. But most people were doing the opposite. They were taking the
Yes.
trips, buying new
Oh, heck
cars,
yeah.
investing in depreciating assets
Yeah.
and things
Right.
like that. So then you have nothing to sell. But yeah, business is something that's going to produce you income, down
Yeah,
the
do
road.
not
So
invest in depreciating assets. I like that because I mean it's just stuff,
But
right?
we love our toys.
We
right?
do love our toys.
I was
but
chief among them. I had to go buy,
you did have some
toys.
You had some toys.
Right? So I've learned better to say, hey, it's okay just to have one cool car. I
yeah.
don't need three.
Yeah, you don't need three. And then you so you do a radio show, correct?
I do.
So
I do.
what do you talk about in your radio show?
So a lot of we talk about the market. I'm heavy into market statistics. I'm a big stat fan. So I'll tell people like 1,000 people per week are moving here since 2010. What does that do to the market? And, I track a lot of the median prices today. We're at 840 for a median price of Seattle.
I saw that. Somebody was talking about that.
What?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's a 40,000 jump over the previous month
For King County?
for Seattle.
Yeah.
East side
840.
East side is what?
950.
Oh,
Right, so those are things you saw. We track about and we talk about it. We just talk about things that are relative to the consumer that are out
Right.
there, how to compete in a competitive market if you're
Yeah.
a buyer, how to
How
manage.
do you compete? Like, okay, so say, you have a house and you want to buy a new one because the market's so great, you're going to sell your house.
Sure.
Is it advantageous to sell your house because you might not be able to find a new house to buy?
Yeah, planning is going to be your best friend because if you
Yeah.
max your profit out of your house, but you got no place to go,
Yeah.
then you're going to have to give some of the money back, and then it's
Yeah.
not fun, right? My funny story is when I see buyers turn into, or sellers turn into buyers. Right, so they are now selling their house. Now they got to go out and compete, and it's just a totally different game for them
Yep.
because
Wait a minute, I was in control.
they're
Yeah.
no longer in control.
Yeah.
And
I don't like this.
and they may have to get into the cattle call, right?
Yeah.
Of doing it.
man.
So one of the most
No, thank you.
craziest things is now they're asking you the question is how much is your house making an hour?
What?
What?
King,
What do you
there's
mean?
a story
What do you
just on
mean?
local. I think King 5 did it. They're tracking the hourly value of your house.
Why?
Because they're saying if
because
your
it's going up
house
so
value
fast?
is going up faster than probably
that's
you're
scary.
making money.
Oh,
See, those are the
that
signs, man. Those are the
is
signs that things are not looking
scary.
are gonna change, man. Like you cannot be thinking like that. That's just
Cannot.
ridiculous.
No.
You cannot.
That is so dumb.
I've never
Yeah.
heard of that.
Yeah, so that's the new fresh insanity going on. In the
Wow.
So
marketplace.
are most and let's just say the higher end markets in the Seattle market here, are most of them being bought by the like the foreign investors?
I would say it's slowed down a bit. I think with a lot of the visa issues that started to come up, with the immigration, EB-5 and some of the things, it slowed it down a bit. Where we've seen a lot of that money move is into the development side of it.
Okay.
So
And that's
they're
where you're
spending-
mostly in,
and
right?
that's what I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of years.
Okay,
doing
tell us
that.
a little bit
Yeah,
about your
tell us about that.
Yeah, so one of the exciting things is getting to work with sellers of land that want to either develop it themselves or they want to sell it to a developer.
Right.
And so they want to go from, what we call a retail homeowner, and now you want to get into the development game. And so we help them sort of consult on that process of how do you turn your home into 3 or 4 lots, or how do you make that
Oh, very
sort of
that's
a
great.
viable option that a builder now can go in and buy, and what kind of work do you need to do on
Right.
it, right? And there's so much that you just have to know, especially if you're in Seattle with all the different zoning. So that's one of the fun things we get to do. And on the other side, we're working with builders looking for those properties.
Right.
Right. So I like
Right.
to say my time is spent between people, projects, and profits.
I like that.
That's-
People, profits, and projects.
That's what I do.
The 3 Ps.
That
He's
is
gotta
good. I
roll.
like the 3 Ps.
He's got to have something cool, right?
Yeah,
Like
that
There
is
you go.
good.
I saved it just for you
I
guys.
like it.
profit, profit.
Hashtag.
So that's
I'll
what
see
we
you wrap
spend
that
time
out,
in.
man.
Yeah.
We do.
I
Can we get the
like it.
beats?
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
stop.
There we go.
Stop.
Okay.
It's gonna be a
Your
wrap
son's
by
not
the time
gonna.
we
Your
get
Okay,
son's not
sorry.
gonna like this. Miami.
Sorry.
Spencer's not gonna
I
appreciate
was
that.
doing my little debut beatboxing. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can work at every level depending on what they want to accomplish. Most people don't want to be in the development business, but they want to maximize their profit, and they realize that it's
Absolutely.
worth more because they're now getting creative with their values and saying,
Right.
okay, I can make more selling at some lots rather than I can just a house.
Yeah,
Even though I'm
no,
gonna
this
get
sounds
topped
like
out.
more of like looking at it as a business. You got a residence, right? That now it's like turning this into a business.
Well,
of
sure.
some time,
Yeah,
right?
'cause
So, but does the homeowner live in one of those homes, or do they just try to find, again, you're going back to that situation, where do they go?
Yeah, most of the time they're going to move out of it.
They are, okay.
Right, but they're going to make a lot more money if they just sold as a residential dwelling, right? Because now all of a sudden you got 3 or 4 lots worth
Yeah.
$300,000.
So now they can actually
I
afford one of
see.
those houses.
Right, so now you're
Yeah,
selling
exactly.
a house that would normally retail for $500 or $600. Now you can get $900 to $1 million for the same property because it's worth more.
Oh, great! So they can get
Wow,
1,100 square foot
Yeah.
Rambler 1960 in Bellevue. Sweet. That sounds like a great
that's
idea.
Great. Hey, only in Seattle.
There you
Well,
go.
you know what? Today we're talking with Lewis Howard. He is he's got the $1 billion mind. I love that. He's closed over $1.2 billion in real estate in the past 10 years, and he hosts a weekly radio show. Tell the listeners how to get a hold of you really quick.
Hey, you can hit us up at Lewis at lhoward360.com, or you can call us at 425-229-7185.
Awesome. Follow us on the Lifestyle Business Owners Show anytime, anywhere on Facebook and IG.
We'll be back with more of the Lifestyle Business Owner Show after this brief break here on AM 1590. The Answer. You're listening to the Lifestyle Business Owner Show with Aaron and Mayumi Muller.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We're talking with the $1 billion mind.
Bam.
I love that. Lewis Howard. He has closed over $1.2 billion in real estate deals in the past 10 years. And he also hosts a weekly radio show and is the best-selling author of 2 amazing books. And what are your books called? Tell our listeners.
So the first one is called From Here to There, which is kind of a biopic journey of my life real estate journey and some of the mentors and the fun, the ups, the craziness. A little bit of what we were talking about earlier about the crash and how to make it sort of through that. And then the second one's called Inside the Mind of Champions, which is basically my compilation of some of the best quotes that I've heard over my time, and I just took them all in one book. So 500 quotes of, people that, like Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
The Godfather. I pick, everywhere. I just take
Oh,
them.
cool.
Yeah.
Consolidated.
And
oh,
I
yeah,
just
that's nice.
consolidate them into one book,
like that.
and then I put a chapter to each one. So if you're talking about dreams, there's quotes and things like that. So it becomes more of a study
Love
guide,
that, yep.
to kind of a thought guide to do it. I've always loved quotes, and so I thought, hey, do a book.
And it's
on it.
also a good book to carry around with you, because I think sometimes, we get too focused on, hyper-focused on certain things,
Yeah.
where we need to step back and really look at things from a different perspective. So whether it's words of affirmation, a quote,
Right.
something to just kind of take us back a little bit so that we can refocus, because we're on autopilot all
Yeah.
the time, and you don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just said we have about 10,000 thoughts a day, 1,500 words a minute go through our brain.
I don't think I have that many, though.
Right?
Oh, I think my husband has 20,000 thoughts a day.
really?
Right.
Okay.
So I always want to put some control on what's
Yes.
going on in
That's-
my,
yep.
in my
Maybe that's the
brain.
problem. I have so many
Yes.
thoughts I can't even verbalize any of them because I get like almost like overloaded.
Yeah.
You know,
Cranium heavy is
But,
what we call
but
it.
I like
Yes, cranium
I'm
heavy.
cranium heavy. Is that what it is?
I like
I want to say real quick though our LBO segment that we're gonna have we're gonna be talking a little bit about like coming back from
Yes.
like how do you deal with like when you have failures in your life and how you come back and
Yep.
actually I'd love to invite you to that segment of the show.
Sure.
Are you because it kind of goes along
Do
with
you
your
have time
book.
for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
good.
Because it goes along with his book.
It's
that he wrote,
basically
so.
coming back.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
know, we're
So we'll get into
like
that.
we mentioned the crash. We really didn't know if
Right.
we could come back.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, and so this will be so. Thank you for staying here.
Yeah, no,
and
that'd be
doing-
awesome.
Yep.
That'd be awesome.
So, we're small business owners, and how does the housing market affect business owners?
Yeah.
You know, how does it affect business owners?
Well, I think we're all enjoying some of the fruits of it. One, as I mentioned earlier, just the amount of people moving here every
Yep.
week. And we have strong employers
Yep.
and a strong, job. I think the unemployment rate is somewhere like 4%, continue to
that's
break
amazing.
records. And then there's just fallout because let's say if you are a builder, you're employing painters and you're employing
Yes.
drywallers and electricians
And then there's
and
furniture that's being
Yeah.
bought.
yeah,
and, everything
designers
else,
and
yep.
stagers, and so it's just this ripple effect.
Yeah.
So when the
It's
housing
really
market's good, it sounds like
sounds
it
like the
just
business
parlays
market.
all these other industries that can benefit from
Well,
it.
surely,
right?
if you've got a retail firm, you can open up in certain segments because there's going to be people there to, we see the food truck industry
Yes.
just exploding right now.
Love food trucks,
Right?
though. Let me tell
because
you.
it's exploding the wine industry. So you can just look at some of the fruits of just all stemming back to housing and construction.
Yep.
We still have probably over 50 cranes in Seattle.
Yeah, that's
right?
insane.
It's crazy.
We're
here.
still
insane.
owning that
Yeah.
record, So that's I think is some of the big benefit, and it lets the small business owner get a vision for what they want to do and really take advantage of this really good.
Do you think
time.
this is why the government actually puts so much emphasis on home ownership and banking and everything because they know that it stimulates the other parts of the economy?
Yeah, they know it drives the economy. They know housing drives the economy
Yeah.
because our economy is based on consumer confidence, and the higher the consumer's confidence is, the more they spend.
Yeah,
Right.
that is true.
The more you secure about your job, the more you're going to go out and spend. And
Right.
so that all feeds into that if you can see housing prices going up like we talked about. So I think
Right.
it all feeds in there. And then money frees up, right? So now the banks are willing to
Right.
lend because small business looks more viable. So
Yeah, which is crazy. When the crash happened, banks weren't loaning money on businesses, and that industry went really down to almost nothing for a while, when I was in that. And I find now that my buyers aren't even using banks a lot of times to buy businesses. They just have there's all this cash that's out there, that these people have
Sure.
accumulated from that crash almost.
Right.
Like they just kind of like this, the people that had money
right.
really, were able to save a lot.
Well, and no offense to my banker friends, but a lot of them panicked. I know a lot of them personally. They were executives. They panicked. And a lot of people have not forgotten
You call
that.
bankers friends? What?
Yeah.
I got two. I got
That's like
two
calling
I
your
know.
attorney a friend. Got an attorney friend?
Yes.
And a lot of small business owners haven't gotten over that because a lot of them got their loans called when they were still making payments on time. I mean, it wasn't like
Yeah.
it
No,
was
it
a bunch
sucked.
of default, right?
Yes.
So
Thanks, sucked.
a lot of them have gone to private money, crowdfunding, which has been a new raise for people doing that. Hedge funds have really jumped into that
Yeah.
space, and so a
Yeah.
lot of it's on private money. People didn't flock back to the bank because
Right.
trust level wasn't quite
Yeah, you're
there.
right, man.
That is
That's a
right.
good point on all that.
Well, I have a question for you. We own multiple businesses, and we've talked about employment and employees, and hard to find. Well, I'm noticing like hairdressers are real estate agents now, and your
Fitness.
QFC,
Your fitness, your
bag
personal fitness
lady.
guy.
So how are you? I remember that's how it was back in the
Sure.
day too.
Yeah.
It did affect a little bit only because people just didn't really know how to do it. They thought
Right.
that they could just write up a purchase and sales
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that's it. How is that affecting your industry?
I would say if there's one thing I get uncomfortable with is when I hear that the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker are all real estate agents.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
We do too.
You know,
We do too.
It gets me a little nervous. I think right now we have about 25,678 real estate brokers in the state of Washington licensed.
I think we had 40,000
Wow.
prior, didn't we?
Yeah, it was really.
Oh, back in
peaked
the
up.
okay.
It was 40,000 back then. So okay, so
Yeah.
it's not as much.
Well,
then.
yeah,
Okay.
it's not as much.
But,
I mean,
but
it
it's
feels
still
like
probably
there's a lot.
12,000 too many.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true.
Right. So, and what that does is it waters down value
Right.
for buyers and sellers, because everywhere they go, they're being inundated by a real estate broker to some
Right.
degree. And then most of these agents are not spending the time to invest in the training and the
Right.
knowledge and the coaching that they need to be good at.
So, like we say, if you're going to be a real
Yeah.
estate agent, it's your that's a business in
Yes.
itself.
Right.
You don't
not
go
a
work.
hobby.
You don't go work for Windermere or somebody like that, and then all of a sudden you just don't have to do anything, and they're going
Right.
to just give you a bunch of leads. You got to run that like it's a business of your
Yes.
own. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, and I think, Aaron, that's what a lot of them miss. They go actually with an employee's mentality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And because that's what they came out of, and they didn't really set up themselves to be thinking business and taxes
Yeah.
and expenses. And so they're just thinking commissions and fees.
Yeah.
Right. So
Until the following year
till
when
it-
they
yeah.
have to pay all that money back
yeah.
to
So that's
the
one of the
taxes.
signs I don't like to see about the
Yeah.
market, but it is, that's part of the reality. Everybody, it takes 90 days to get your license, or
Yeah.
120 days.
Yep.
Right.
So tell our listeners what kind of what you can do to help them if they need help or
Yeah.
anything, and then how to contact you.
Yeah, I would say one of the things we're enjoying working with, as I mentioned earlier, is working with sellers. If you've got property and you're kind of thinking about maybe you want to sell it as an investment vehicle to a builder, and you want to know what that process is like, we've got resources we can bring or assets we can help you with. And then we work with buyers out there. I mean, we've got some creative ways. We do a lot of off-market pre-sale stuff that's not available, so they're not having to participate in what I call the cattle call, because
Yeah.
it's not listed on the MLS or Zillow or Redfin, which is where most people get their information. So there's some value we can do there. But primarily, what we're just enjoying is providing the consulting services to both sellers and builders in terms of sourcing land, because that's the number
Right.
one thing that's everybody's excited about and need to keep going, especially if you're in the home building business.
So how do they get a hold of you?
get a hold of you?
So you can reach out to us. Our website is 360realestateservices.com, or you can email me personally at Louis, Louis at lhoward360.com, or hit me up directly at 425-229-7185.
Wait a minute,
That's
are you single
great.
too?
Am I? Well, I'm working.
Was that your phone number for
I'm
for
married
dates
to my
too, or
I'm
what?
married to my company right now.
Okay, I got
Oh, but that means he's single.
I'm just
Yes,
kidding.
if you're wanting to get any consulting to make good investments for your property, make sure you reach out to Louis. Hey, I have a question for you, because I know you were talking about like all these people moving to Seattle area. So if you're moving to the Seattle area, do you recommend that person moving to buy a home or rent a home?
Well, that's always the age of debate about renting versus owning. And I think what we see a lot of people do when they come to Seattle is they rent for the first 6 months or a year. About 65% of the people move here, they are with tech companies, and a lot of them are on 6-month contracts or a year contracts,
Okay.
so they don't know if they're going to be here over the long term. So in those cases, a lot of time that people rent, and we actually advise that, because if you decide you find a property you want to buy, it costs you a few thousand to get out of lease, and sometimes you can get a credit from the seller to do that, right? If the
Right.
deal's right. So, but it gives them time to kind of decide where they want to live, where they want to go, and to kind of explore areas outside of the main core. 'Cause
Exactly.
If you're outside of Seattle, you think only thing is Seattle.
Right.
The people in Kent and Auburn
Yeah.
and Federal Way get left out of the conversation, right?
Yep.
So sometimes I give them time to maybe spread a little bit, and because there's more values, the more go out, the better deals you got to sort of
Absolutely.
get. In
And
terms
some
of home
people might
prices.
not mind driving. They might come from a small town where they are driving around, and they might not mind living in Falls City if they're working at Microsoft,
Well, we did a development out in Bonnie Lake, which is about an hour from
Yeah.
where we're broadcasting here from, and Amazon shuttles people in. So they buy a house
Wow.
out there
Yeah.
for $450,000, $500,000.
Yep, a
and
nice
they
house, too.
Shuttle in every day and shuttle them
That's
back
cool.
out.
That's
Right.
great. And it's
So-
great for that community as well.
Right.
Oh, yeah, it totally builds
Yeah.
a community.
So that's a great option, for somebody that's willing to have the commute time.
So you're working with a lot of builders, like I said, and development and finding land and everything. What do you find is harder? Is it harder to find land to sell to these builders, or is it harder to find builders for the land?
Well, it's a combination. It's hard to find properties that you can develop the way you want to develop them because of all the restrictions and things in zoning and so forth. And then the biggest problem right now is the price that a builder has to pay for that land. So everybody's asking, premium prices because we're in such a shrinking land base. Our land base in Seattle is not very big. It's almost like we're sisters to San Francisco. It's just a high density sort of area. And so it's hard to get anything more than if I'm building some in Seattle, maybe 2 houses or three or 4 at the most. Right. So I have to go 30 miles out to be able to get, something that's 30 lots or 40 lots.
Well, we are talking to Lewis Howard here, and he is going to be on our next segment, so you'll get to hear more about him here at the Lifestyle Business Owner Academy. We're not rendering financial or legal advice. We're not telling you what you should or shouldn't do with your money or business. We're simply telling you what we do here personally. When we come back, we're going to go to our LBO segment. That's where we talk about how to buy a business, grow profits, and make it run right without you. And Lewis Howard will be joining us on the next segment. Make sure you follow us on the Lifestyle Business Owner on.
The Lifestyle Business Owner Show continues after this on AM 1580. The Answer.